Welcome to this overview of the book The Path by Professor Michael Puett and Christine Gross-Loh. The title of the book comes from a concept Chinese philosophers referred to as the Tao, or the way, the path we continually forge every moment of our lives through our choices, actions, and relationships. This book is about recognizing our assumptions of a good way to live are just one set amongst many, which in turn gives us what the subtitle promises, a new way to think about everything, and how the process of building our path has an endless potential to transform us and the world we live in. This book begins by bringing to the reader's attention there is a version of history that says we were all born into our place, such as the aristocracy or peasantry, and stayed there for the remainder of our lives, and that society stayed this way until the 19th century when the modern world was born. However, the authors share the first myth of the modern world is that we live in an age of freedom unlike any other. But if that is so, why are there record levels of narcissism, unhappiness, and anxiety? And why have stories like "work hard and you will succeed" created a world where it is believed one story is right for all? Another myth is the rational mind knows best, and the rational mind can master chance and defy fate. But that view overlooks emotion and instinct cannot be eliminated, because emotion and instinct take over in our spontaneous decisions as well as guiding our less spontaneous decision making. And the third myth is the truth of who we are lies within us. This is reaching self-actualization and living authentically according to our inner truth. But this assumes there is only one truth, and that we recognize this truth when we see this, as well as believing we have no further potential. Further, many think that globalization is a modern phenomenon, but the fact is that innovation, technologies, and ideas have been moving across the globe for millennia, as has the question of what is the best way forward when societal order breaks down. With a starting point of how did our world become like this and what can we do to change it, the authors consider several aspects of this question from the perspective of different Chinese philosophers. The first being relationships through Confucian thought and as-if rituals. Confucius took the opposite approach to most philosophers, who jump in with big questions like, what is the meaning of life? And asked a question we can all answer. How are you living your life on a daily basis? Which means our answers are in noticing our own responses, because we often don't even notice that our emotions are constantly being drawn out of us as we encounter different things, and that these responses create our habitual responses, which means things we deem good make us feel happy, and the things we deem bad pull us down or cause us to feel angry or fearful. As-if rituals are those that allow us to change this situation by trying on new roles to construct a new reality for ourselves. In modern times, we would call this faking it until we make it. However, as-if rituals are built around catching ourselves in the space between stimuli and response to practice a better response, which in turn allows us to transform ourselves into that person who responds in this way. And this way of considering rituals as transformative was started by Confucius. And although you may not consider your routine as a ritual, it is. Whether it is your morning coffee, where and how you eat, or what time you go to bed, etc. Our different styles of address to different groups of people are also rituals, which can be the meaningless societal "how are you?" or a question you really want to know the answer to. And Confucius understood where we spend most of our time is where we need to focus our attention to understand why we are doing these things. Because what we do is for our transformation, not the specific outcome we are seeking, which is most easily understood through the power of writing a letter of forgiveness, even if it is not sent, as it allows the writer to free themselves of the emotions they have held onto around the event, thereby helping to break the cycle. The as-if ritual does the same for our pattern of behaviour that are not serving us to live as we wish to be living. It also helps us to move out of the rote habits of platitudes like please and thank you, So we actually feel what we are saying, and what we are saying can be felt by the other person. In regards to decisions, the authors ask the reader to imagine they have come up with a plan to jumpstart their life, but they're running into setback after setback. This is to set the scene for the philosopher Meniscus's argument that the very things we believe to be true when we plan are also the things that limit us because we are assuming the world is coherent and stable. Meniscus, in contrast, believed the world to be unpredictable and capricious because there are no guarantees that this will lead to that. For example, it is not a given that hard work will lead to success or that all criminals will be punished, etc. And it is only when we accept this are we able to make decisions that enable us to live our lives in the most expansive way. And the potential to live this way lies in a combination of rational choice and following our gut instinct, or more succinctly, through honing our emotions so they work in sync with our mind, which we can do by considering the Confucian idea of examining our everyday interactions and how these change even with the same person, dependent on the circumstances. And then considering how our actions can lead to positive long-term trajectories, thereby creating an environment where everyone flourishes because we are looking beyond the surface behaviour we are seeing. When considering the concept of influence, the authors do this from the perspective of the Lao Tse. This is set up by asking the reader whether they see a mighty oak as being more powerful and steadfast than a sapling, or whether they see the sapling as more capable of withstanding strong winds, etc., as it is softer and therefore more easily able to move. Because if we can appreciate the power of seeming weakness, understand the pitfalls of differentiation, and see the world as interrelated, we can understand true power comes from understanding the connection between disparate things, situations, and people. However, to recreate the way in all situations in our lives, we must recognize the degree to which distinctions that pervade our experience are actually false. For example, rather than thinking of work and leisure as a division, we need to bring the feeling of connectedness into all aspects of our daily interactions so we know we are part of the whole, so we understand there is no distinction between us and anything else. But how does this work in practice? Rather than reacting emotionally to what you are experiencing, step back to see the bigger picture. If someone is unhappy with you, what might be causing that dynamic, and how can you consciously change your approach to change their response? This is not being subservient or downplaying what is occurring. It is seeing how the other person's motivations can be turned 180 degrees through your actions, thereby positively addressing the context behind the situation. In the Confucian sense, you would be using as-if rituals to change reality for both you and the other person. Think Mahatma Gandhi and Rosa Parks. They did not appear to be taking action, but in reality they were directing everything happening around them. The authors consider spontaneity from the perspective of the philosopher Puett and a world of transformation. Puett believed true spontaneity requires us to alter how we think and act in the world, so we continuously open ourselves up to endless flux and transformation. Puett believed that we can practice what he called trained spontaneity. This is repeating an activity over and over until we can just flow with the process. We can best understand this as an experienced cook who does not require recipes to produce elaborate dishes. But Puett is thinking bigger than just one area of expertise. It is a total approach to life. And to consider the limits of our current perception, Puett uses the as-if ritual idea of whether we are a human dreaming we are a butterfly or a butterfly dreaming we are a human. And that seeing life from both perspectives allows us to have a deeper understanding of the cosmos and embracing that absolutely everything is in constant flux and transformation. Because everything in the world transforms into everything else in a constant and ceaseless dance of movement and relationships, flux, and shifts. The authors look at humanity from the perspective of Chuang Tzu and putting patterns on the world. Chuang Tzu believed we should not accept ourselves as we are because we have what society would consider both good and bad impulses. And our bad side is natural, and our good side is the result of societal artifice. Chuang Tzu therefore asks us to consider how we would live differently if we understood how much of the world is already our creation. Chuang Tzu believed that using the Confucian as if ritual would allow us to see the bigger picture and make us a better person, because we are knowingly using artifice to change artifice. When considering vitality, or what it takes to really feel alive, the authors do this from the perspective of the writings, the inward training, which teaches deep breathing, helps us to soothe ourselves, calms our emotions, and assists us to relax. Though we should not wait for the times when we feel deep breathing would benefit us, but to deep breathe always so we are filled with the revitalizing chi energy and therefore able to maintain our inner stability. And this advice is because then we see things more vividly, feel more keenly, and the walls between us and the rest of the world drop away, thereby supporting us harmonizing the discrete elements of our lives. This is an easy-to-read, thought-provoking book with a lot of supporting explanations to understand the concepts and how they relate to modern views. However, some concepts may require rereading to take in the full implications of what is being shared and how the different approaches relate to each other. I highly recommend this book for anyone interested in better understanding supposedly new concepts like mindfulness, gratitude, and fake it until you make it, as well as how science discoveries such as quantum mechanics have demonstrated the effect on outcomes of the concepts the philosophers propose, and for those who want to open themselves up to the possibilities they never imagined were possible. Thank you for viewing this video. Please like and click on the notification bell if you would like to be notified of further book overviews as they are uploaded.